SEO is over forever. It's SEO Geddon. We're getting the party started today. And what we're going to be talking about is how basically the SEO world is in chaos. And today I'm going to uncover the shocking details of not one, but actually 5 game-changing SEO developments, which include number 1, the core update that's literally making SEOs freak out. And I'll show you why. Grok 2 AI, which is a new AI tool that's outperforming ChatGPT. You can get free access, and it's actually outperforming ChatGPT plus Claude in many ways. More on that in a second. We'll be talking about potential news of the Department of Justice's plan for Google and the whole monopoly situation. We'll be talking about the massive updates that have just been expanded by Google for AI overviews, which will totally change SEO forever. And I'll explain exactly why that is. That's not clickbait. Plus, a mysterious Google search glitch that was just announced a few hours ago. And this is live. Okay, so if you have any questions, feel free to ask as we go along and we ride around the track together. And we will start with the Google core update. As Goal says, here we go again, and that is 100% true. So let's get this party started. What you can see here is that just a few hours ago, Google Search Central announced the August 2024 core update. Now, as you can see right here, this is the announcement. You can see some of the interesting reactions. When you look at the comments right there, you can see the volatility is pretty much off the chart, as you can see right here. So if we look, it is a Google quake, and there's going to be a lot of volatility in the SERPs. I'm going to talk about a glitch that a few people have reported to me today, and I've also seen it on the announcements from Google Search Central. I'll get into that in a minute. And by the way, if you see your traffic going up and down, if you see a lot of volatility and you need some help as you go through this core update, which is going to be a wild ride, I tell you that for free, feel free to book in a free SEO strategy session. Link is in the comments and description, or just go to juliangoldie.co.uk. And thankfully, it's not been de-indexed during this core update yet. So what we can see here is this is the announcement of the August core update. And they basically said, today we launched our August 2024 core update to Google Search. Now, here's where it gets pretty interesting. So they've said this update is designed to continue our work to improve the quality of our search results by showing more content that people genuinely find useful, right? Genuinely find useful, and less content that feels like it was made just to perform well on search, aka SEO optimized content, aka what 99% of people watching this channel usually create when it comes to content, because that's what actually ranks. And you can also see that they've said this latest update takes into account the feedback we've heard from some creators and others over the past few months. Now, if you haven't seen it already, basically what Google have been doing is inviting independent publishers to their headquarters, right, to discuss some of the destruction that happened during the helpful content update last year. I'll show you some examples of that in a minute, plus some sites so you can monitor in this update, because it's going to get very interesting indeed. I think it's going to be a real rocky ride for SEO sites in particular, but I'll come on to some predictions in a second. Then they said, as always, we aim to connect with a range of high quality sites, including small or independent sites that are creating useful original content which relevant to user searches. Now, that's not that interesting, to be honest with you, but then they say this is an area we continue to address, because basically they want to give independent publishers a chance, according to the announcement. Now, I'll get into this in a second. Amar says, let's go. And that's what we're talking about. Neo says, back at it, straight back in the game. Cool Fact says, hats off to your commitment. Happy to help. And Steven says, do you think low value AI content is what they are going after? Again, I've seen AI content referenced in AIO that are now available in the UK. I'm actually going to come on to AI and the overviews in a minute, and it's going to be very, very interesting, as you can see. Goal says, did you get an invitation? I would say no, I was non-invitado, but I'm still waiting. So hopefully I'm on the Christmas card list. So if we keep going through, you can see the announcement of the core update right here, and you can see, if you're wondering like how long is this bad boy going to take, probably going to roll out for another month or so. That's usually how long this sort of stuff takes. Now, if we look at the Google search helpful, the updates and the guidelines around this, what you can see inside Google Search Core Updates is that they have actually revised the guidelines around core updates. And I'll come on to that, right? So what they've actually talked about is check if there's a traffic drop in Search Console. Bear in mind, they don't talk about checking if your traffic goes up. It talks about checking if there's a traffic drop. So I think a lot of people are going to get hit during this update. I can just imagine the sort of carnage that is going to roll out. I've already seen one manual action penalty, which we'll come on to later in this video, from someone who's quite popular in the SEO space. But you can see here they have some guidelines on what to do, and it's actually quite good advice, to be fair. Like, they talk about confirming that the core update is rolled out before you take any action on your website. At the same time, when you're looking through your Google Search Console and you're seeing any sort of drafts or any sort of volatility in the content you've created and your search rankings, then wait at least a full week after the core update is rolled out. And then when you do analyze, review your top pages and queries and basically look, is it a small drop or is it a big drop, right? Pretty simple stuff. I like the way they simplified it right there. And they've talked about how to handle a large drop in the position, plus things to keep in mind when making changes. All of this is very, very good advice, to be honest with you. When I look through it, it's like, yeah, this is the exact sort of advice I would give. And so I'm glad we're on the same page right there. But this is going to get wild, and I'll tell you why. So what I would say is when it comes to this update, I think it's going to be a anti-SEO update, right? And it's pretty much laid out if you read between the lines inside the update. So if you look, it says, we're going after content. We want to rank less content that feels like it was made just to perform well on search. So if your content is SEO optimized, I would say that comes under that umbrella. Now, what I'm also going to talk about is some other SEO's reactions. So you can see, for example, Cyrus Shepherd has said, friends, let's call it what it is. These are anti-SEO updates again and again, and you can't convince me otherwise, right? By the way, if you don't follow Cyrus on Twitter, check out his channel. It's absolutely amazing. He posts some great stuff on there. And you can say, yes, a site's business model seems to play an increasingly important role here. AK, we've seen a lot of affiliates and we've seen a lot of content sites get hit over the last year, running a lot of ads or affiliate links across their site. Whereas, for example, we've seen a lot of lead UGC absolutely popping off and going to the moon, which is my next prediction, but we'll come on to that in a minute. And so, yeah, you can see what's rolling out and how it's going. We've got another update from Youngblood who really went in depth here and basically talks about this prediction, which is Google are coming after SEO content, and this will get worse every single update. AK, as I always say, SEO is dead, my friends. And so this is quite interesting. The other thing that I would say when we get into this is that we've already seen another manual action penalty. So Niche Site Lady, another great and fantastic Twitter account to follow in the SEO space. And excuse the French right there, but you can see basically Niche Site Lady says just got a new manual action penalty from Google for unnatural links. This is literally within hours of the Google core update. I don't know if they're correlated, but it is unusual timing if you ask me. And then they've said they haven't replied to my review request from a penalty 6 months ago, so why would I even try to fix this one, right? And so that's what I'm talking about. There's some big changes going on, manual action penalties, anti-SEO stuff. It's going to be carnage if you ask me. I'm going to come on to a glitch later on in the video, and let's see what else we got here. Melody says, hello, new here. Shout out to you. Guys, this is free. This is free. You are not getting charged to watch this YouTube channel, hopefully, unless someone is actually charging you, and then shame on them for charging you for my free content. So if you want to check out, okay, what are the previous core updates that rolled out previously, let me share my screen and I'll show you exactly what I mean and how it works. And by the way, like I said, there's a free SEO strategy session if you want to get that one-to-one inside the comments. But you can see here that these are all the lists of all the previous updates that have come out from Google. Now, if you check through this list, you can see, for example, the most recent one, obviously, is the 15th of August. So that was just released yesterday, within a few hours ago. You can also see there was a March core update back on March the 5th. Then there was a 2nd of November core update right there. October one. Okay, so these are rolling out quite frequently, if you ask me. And the other thing that I would say is, like, when you're seeing these updates and you're seeing all the volatility, like I've shown you right here, the one thing to pay attention to is what is happening in the industry when it comes to other things. Now, there's been quite a few updates this week, and I'll come on to those later. But what I would say is it's interesting to monitor and see what else is going on, not just within different spaces, which you can see is very volatile right here. So, for example, 9.4 on average in terms of volatility. It is a Google quake. But if we actually check out some of the other sites, and we can see what sort of other sites are performing, how are they performing, what's going on. So what I like to always look at is big UGC sites, for example, like Reddit, because they tend to get more and more traffic after every core update, if you haven't already noticed that. And, for example, as well, you can see Forbes.com, they are popping off and they create a lot of SEO optimized content. Let's call a spade a spade. And additionally, what is quite interesting is if you haven't already checked this out, this is very, very interesting. These are the case studies from Google's publisher stories, right? So these are basically like case studies of websites that did really well, promoting content, creating content, and then making money from ads. And you can see that a lot of these websites, I don't know if this is going to change, but a lot of these websites just got absolutely battered over the last few months. So, for example, if we check out 30seconds.com, which is basically a case study from Google, if we plug them into Ahrefs right here, we can see that their traffic has gone down, over the last, let's have a look, the last year, you can see they hit a peak of 109K. And now they've dropped down to 43,000 traffic. And that has happened to a lot of the case studies on Google's publisher site, right? And these are all independent publishers, which means that so many independent publishers, just in general, who are making money with content, with ads and affiliate, etc., are getting smashed out there, right? It is a brutal, brutal game. And you can see, for example, the same with Reddit. So Reddit previously, let's go back to the last year. We'll pop this up right here. So previously they were at 127 million, just a measly 127 million SEO organic traffic. Now they're at 579 traffic in 1 year. That is the best SEO case study I've ever seen, if you ask me. Same with Forbes, they're doing pretty well. So if you look over the last year, not a massive increase on the chart, but you can see they went from 55 million SEO traffic back in September all the way up to 64 million traffic right now. And so these are the sorts of sites you want to monitor. You want to monitor big sites like Reddit, big sites like Forbes, and also the sites that got hit during previous updates. So all the publisher stories that we were talking about. And then also I would recommend checking out other sites. And, you can set these monitors up with, for example, SEMrush or SE Ranking. You can use Ahrefs. Ahrefs is personally my favorite tool, but it's not affordable for everyone. And you can see, again, over the last year, an independent publisher, which is quite a famous case study now, housefresh.com, they got battered as well, unfortunately, right? And from what I've seen, they create relatively good content. I've read a few of their articles. So, for example, they were at 43,000 SEO traffic back in September. Helpful content comes out, boom, down to 2,000 traffic right there, right? And it's a pretty crazy world. Now, I can see more carnage coming around just like this. Bilal says, brother, I need advice. Feel free to ask any questions as we go along. And Digital Marketing Max says, I want to ask you why SEO. That's an interesting question right there. You'd have to, I don't know. But as you can see right here, it's an interesting time. So the other thing that you might have is a few FAQs, right? So you might be asking, okay, how long do these core updates normally last? I would say about a month normally. You might ask what's different, and I would say this one is quite different because specifically in Google's update, they've said this is going to be creator focused and it's going to be focused on helping independent publishers, which is quite unusual. And then they've also called out SEO content at the same time. Now, the thing is, a lot of those independent publishers who are creating great content are also SEOs. So I'm not sure what's going to happen right there. You might also be asking, okay, what should you do if you get hit? And I would say wait for it to roll out. No sudden changes. Watch your Google Search Console. And then sometimes this sort of stuff gets rolled back. So let's see what happens from there. The next announcement that I want to talk about is Grok. Now, Grok is the AI inside Twitter, and they released a new update yesterday. And it's pretty cool, actually, if you ask me. So I'm going to show you some examples of what that looks like right here. So if we go on to Twitter, Grok 2 was announced yesterday. I actually created a 40-minute live stream and a masterclass on how to use it. But if we keep going through right here, you can go to Grok inside Twitter. As you can see, you do need a premium account. And if you just type something random, I don't know, for example, SEO is dead, graveyard, image, something like that. It can generate really nice photographic images for you, and it can also generate content and news updates and that sort of thing. Now, this is great for like gray niches because it doesn't have any guardrails on it. So it's quite good for gray niche content you probably couldn't create on other AI models. And also Grok, the first version, couldn't create images, but now it can. Now, when it comes to Grok 2, you can see here that it is the mini beta version. So this is not like the full version. It's not the full version that's come out now. It's kind of like comparable to ChatGPT 4.0 mini, but I would definitely recommend checking it out. So for example, if we go back onto Grok, we'll start a new chat like this, and I'll show you a free way to get access to this in a minute. But if we go on to Grok and we say, tell me today's headlines, what it will actually do is feed in the latest news from all the tweets that are going on inside Twitter's ecosystem. So, for example, it talks about a bunch of different interesting stuff going on right there, bit of political stuff, all that sort of thing. And so it's quite a powerful way to create content, to see the latest updates and that sort of thing. Now, if you want to see a full use case for this and how it works, I've actually got a full SOP, and I'll give you access to all the video notes at the end of this video. But for example, you can see a bunch of use cases right here. So when it comes to Grok, you can switch between fun mode and non-fun mode, right? So if you want to add more personality to your content, fun mode is one of the best ways to do it, as you can see inside the sentence right here. Additionally, you can use this for creating and ranking articles, but personally, I would say it's still better to create content on other AI platforms, for example, like Claude 3.5 Sonnet is my favorite one. Additionally, I use it for YouTube thumbnails. As an example of that, let's go into the old back end of my YouTube channel and I'll show you exactly what I mean and how it's working. But essentially, if we go into the video that I created on the live stream yesterday, and we look at some of the thumbnails that I created with Grok 2, you can see inside this video right here, we actually got a really high click-through rate. So we got about an average of 7.8% using the thumbnail generated with Grok 2. And so those images seem to work better than human generated images, because a lot of my videos do not get a click-through rate as high as that. And so it's just something interesting to note there. It's like these images are actually more powerful than human designed images in many ways. Now, you might be wondering, okay, how do you get free access to Grok 2? What you can do is you can go on to LMSys, and they had an announcement on it. So they announced that actually Grok 2 was one of their best performing models lately. And if you want to get access to it for free, you can go to LMSys. Where is it now? LMSys Chat Arena, and we'll put sus inside. There we go, right? On LMSys Chatbot Arena, the Grok 2 model is named as sus column R. That is a code name for Grok, and you can get free access to it. Now, if you want to get free access to the image generation, because onside LMSys, you can only get access to the free text version of Grok. If you want to use the image version of Grok, this is actually powered by a free tool called Flux, right? And so you can use a tool called Flux. Just type in Flux AI images onto Google, and there's a few ways you can access it right there, and creates really powerful images, as I've already shown you. Melody says, I don't use Twitter. I would recommend getting on Twitter if you haven't already. It's a great place for learning SEO. It's a great place for staying updated with SEO. And additionally, it's really good. Like, I mean, if you want to get a lot of reach, I would say some of my articles on Twitter get way more views than SEO, right? So for example, you can see I created a bunch of articles right here on Twitter directly. And if we keep scrolling down right here, for example, you can check out some of these articles I just created a few days ago, like this one. And this article has already had 700 views. You can see again, this article right here, 800 views, this one, 500 views, and these were all published like within the last 7 days. And so if you're not creating articles and ranking them with Twitter, then it's a really good opportunity to get more reach. And additionally, if you go into the analytics on Twitter, and again, this is one of the best reasons for using it, is you can reach a relatively high amount of people, as you can see. So a few months ago, we were at like 10 or 13,000 impressions per day. Now we're up to 93,000 impressions per day. Why? Because the Twitter algorithm is much more rewarding than SEO when it comes to that. Fancy Cloud says, hey, do you know how you had a GPT where you just a keyword and it spit out everything? Do you have that for Claude? Yeah, so you can set that up inside Claude. I'll come on to the rest of the news in a minute, but I just want to help out Fancy Cloud, and maybe some people watching will learn something. So what you can do is inside Claude, you can go to projects over here. I think it's available just on the premium plan. And if you go to projects, you can create your own tools. Like I've even got one for creating the macros based on my favorite restaurant that I order from, right? So I can put in, I want to eat like 40% fat today. I can then say, right, I only want to eat like 2,200 calories. As you can see right here, it's got the whole menu from my favorite restaurant in the city that I live. And then I can just figure out the macros from there, right? And it's based on my specific calorie needs. That is how I am so shredded, my friends. So from here, if we go on to this copywriting tool, this is basically what I can use to create like emails every single day as well. And additionally, we've got another tool right here, which is keywords and content. So this is the one that I can use to generate content for my website. And you can just take the prompts from the video notes today, which you can see down here, for example, like content creation. And also for generating the keywords, I have an SOP on that as well, which you can see right here in terms of how to find easy keywords to rank for. And with that method right there, you can plug those instructions into a project on Claude, and you've basically got yourself a custom GPT. But the difference is the Claude's AI, I would say personally, is much better at writing content and is much more powerful for SEO versus using ChatGPT 4.0. Melody says, I think I will create another account, this kind of niche. And Troy Leverett says, your thumbnails always stand out on my YouTube timelines. What's your secret? So I'll give you a few. Some people hate me for my YouTube thumbnails. I'll be 100% honest with you, right? But if we zoom in right here, basically what it's all about is just making sure that you're winning the click. That's what I would say with YouTube. A lot of people say, oh, it's clickbait and blah, blah, blah. But if you deliver what you promise, it's not clickbait. And the main thing is it's all about grabbing people's attention, triggering the lizard brain, right? You know, like the inner caveman or cavewoman of us all, and then grabbing people's attention. How do you do that? Well, you can use bright colors, you can use shocking headlines, you can use interesting images that inspire people's imagination. You can also create something very provocative, like you can see right here. So this is an AI clicking a money machine that prints money, as you can see right here. And the video is about making money with ChatGPT. Like this sort of stuff is really provocative. And so the secret is just grabbing people's attention. And that is really a skill that cannot be taught, but can be learned. How can it be learned? Just by practicing every day. For me, for example, if I'm creating a live stream and a YouTube video every single day, then I can improve the way that I capture people's attention and then multiply it. And if I practice that skill every single day, I'm going to get better at it. As an example of that, if you look at my oldest videos and you look at the type of content and the way that I talk to the camera and the entertainment value in those videos, it's totally trash compared to 4 years or 5 years later. And so really, it's just about practice and then creating something bright, colorful, and triggering people's emotions, right? Same with, for example, Twitter. If you look at Twitter and you look at some of the images that I create right here, for example, like some of these that you can see, it's all about triggering people's attention. And in a world where, you know, it's so easy to automate content with AI, with, for example, you know, images, where it's really easy to even automate videos, you have to learn to stand out. And it's one of the best marketing tools that you can ever learn. Fantasy Cloud says, yes, I just wanted your project for one keyword. I needed to research and write an article. So I cannot share, as you can see right here, I cannot share projects directly on Claude with my audience. But what you can actually do is you can take any of the prompts that you can see inside my free course, links inside the comments description, that comes with a massive keyword research SOP and tons of different tutorials. If you take any of the prompts from there, you can plug them into Claude, and inside Claude, you can just create a project like you can see right here with the details and the prompts pre-plugged in. That's one of the best ways to do this. Fancy Cloud says, do you stream daily? By the way, I just stream when I have enough energy and when I've got something interesting to talk about. But if you want to see the calendar of when I actually do live streams and, you know, when I'm doing live calls, etc., just join the SEO Elite Circle. That link is inside the comments, or you can go to SEOEliteCircle.com. So from here, we're going to keep rolling through some of the stuff that we've got to talk about. And next up, what we're going to be talking about is the Department of Justice, which apparently, according to some sources, is talking about trying to break up Alphabet's Google, which is pretty crazy stuff if you ask me. The Department of Justice. Now, if you're not already familiar, you might have seen that Google was announced as a monopoly, right? So, for example, if we look at this article by The Verge, you can see that a judge ruled that Google is a monopolist in a US antitrust case, which was big news, but I think most of us thought there's not really going to be any penalties coming this decade, if we're honest with each other, right? And so, yes, this is big news, but I wouldn't expect to see any penalties coming soon. But actually, what you can see here is that the Department of Justice is thinking about breaking up Google and considering a move, which I would say is absolutely massive, if you ask me. Like, that's going way further than just having a court case that talks about a monopoly. So really interesting times right there. If we run through this, for example, you can see, let's have a look at the little breakdown right here. So I actually created a breakdown using Grok 2, as you can see. And, bear in mind, this is created with AI. So some of it might be hallucinated. That's down to Grok and the accuracy of it. But if we look at an example of this, you can see that Grok talks about the saga of Google versus the Department of Justice. And as you can see, they're basically talking about how a federal judge has ruled that Google has violated US antitrust laws with its search business. Now, for me, I'm going to be 100% honest with you. I'm very grateful for the opportunities from Google. And, being an SEO, I think they've created a massive industry, right? And I think most of us wouldn't have a living without Google and search engines. So it's pretty sad to see the demise of Google in these ways. And for example, like the Department of Justice, having to interfere in these sort of situations. But it's also a massive news. And this is like very, very interesting, because if Google gets broken up, it's going to have a big ripple effect across the whole SEO industry. We're going to keep going through now. So Neil says, please help me understand. Are keywords still relevant with the SEO core update? Absolutely, keywords are still relevant. Keywords, topical maps, all the same principles apply. It doesn't matter how many updates came out. I mean, ever since the dawn of time, I would say SEO, if you really simplify it down to its first principles, it's really about three things: keywords, content, backlinks, right? And that's the 80-20. Like, there's 200 different Google ranking algorithms, right? Even more if you check out the Google Lead site. There's actually more. But when it comes down to everything, right, it's all about keywords, content, backlinks. If you nail those three things, you're usually winning when it comes to SEO. Melody says, later I will watch again. Thanks for the update. And thanks very much for commenting as well. So we're going to get straight through this. And Goal says, what do you think is the real reason Google is now being turned against? They've known for ages. How come they're now deciding to get on it? I don't know whether it's just, whether it's just becoming too powerful. This is a very interesting question, actually. Why are they acting now versus any other time? Very interesting question, Matt. I don't want to even suggest what it could be and what the reason is. But it's pretty shocking to see this. And whatever happens, the fact that that is in the headlines is something, that we should all be aware of as SEOs, because it's going to totally change the industry. And so is the next piece of news I'm going to talk about, which is the expansion of Google AI overviews. And if you're not familiar with this could totally change SEO forever. Right? So basically, it's a new update from Google today, August the 15th, 2024. And they've said new ways to connect to the web with AI overviews. Now, what's interesting about this is basically AI overviews, which is Google's version of kind of like ChatGPT, but inside the SERP. So it's like AI generated search results. It's being implemented across more countries, and it's being implemented into some cases of incognito mode on Google. So it's being rolled out as a beta, as you can see previously. This is an example of what it would look like previously. And you can see, here's an example. So if we look at this particular search query, we'll see what shows up. And you can see that it's generating an AI overview inside Google using the new update. And so what they've said is they're expanding AI overviews to more places around the world. And this is very, very interesting to see that this is being rolled out to, for example, United Kingdom, India, Japan, Indonesia, Mexico, and Brazil. And I think a lot of people thought they would be safe, or that this would be too expensive to roll out into different markets and foreign versions of Google, because it's basically like the latest version of Google, right? And it's AI powered, and obviously AI powered content from Google costs some money. And so for them to roll out to multiple different countries that are nowhere near advanced when it comes to the actual algorithm, it's very interesting, because they're basically skipping all the other algorithm updates and going straight to the latest version, which is AI overviews, which, by the way, is very dependent on backlinks from what I've seen and domain authority. So I'll come on to which sort of sites are winning in a second, but let's have a look at some of the other questions that we've got here. So the Kent and Sussex Tea and Coffee Company says, hey, Julian, what's your thoughts on the talk of an update to roll back some of the updates of last year's nightmare? So I was just talking about that. I would say I have 3 predictions for the core update. Right? 3 predictions. And bear in mind, like, no one knows the future. Most experts, just in general, if you didn't already know this, most experts get predictions wrong. If you didn't know that, that is tried and tested across pretty much the dawn of history. But if I had to make predictions for you, and, the Kent and Sussex Tea said, give me 3 predictions, I would say, number 1, more and more SEOs are going to get hit. I think this is probably targeting SEO content more than it has done all this year. Additionally, I think that independent publishers probably won't get anywhere near the amount of traffic back that they wanted. So if we look at some of the sites, for example, like housefresh.com, that went down from 40,000 traffic down to like 1 or 2,000 traffic, I wouldn't expect them to recover fully to 43,000 traffic or higher. I just can't see that happening in one single core update. And the other thing that I would say is that Reddit is going to the moon just simply because after every other core update that I've checked, Reddit is popping off and it's absolutely flying. Neil says, so grateful for you for sharing this. I would be clueless. Otherwise, happy to help, mate, and glad this is helping you. And by the way, you don't have to believe or trust everything that I've said. One thing I would say is when you're listening to streams like this and you're listening to people give opinions, like think critically, right? So you don't have to follow all the advice that I talk about. It's all about just getting different opinions, and there's no right or wrong way to do SEO. But from what I'm sharing, this is just based on what's working for me and how it goes so far. So the other thing that I would say, if you haven't seen it already, is that Reddit is actually doing better than ever when it comes to AI overviews. I'm just going to try and find the example, as you can see right here, but here's an example of AI overviews inside incognito mode when you go onto Google. So you can see, for example, what is a summary of atomic habits, and then it summarizes with AI and no links to another website, the actual summary from atomic habits. You can see another example right here. And here's another example. Now, one of the things that I saw, and I'm just going to pull up this article right here that talks about this, which is that if you look at some of the latest stats, and this was a case study from SE Ranking that was published on Search Engine Journal, so you can see it. They've said that with the new Google AI overviews that are popping off right now, YouTube and LinkedIn are up and Reddit is down, right? So just to repeat, YouTube, which it's a video platform that ranks extremely well. For example, if we go into Google and I don't know, let's type something random like Google Core Update, you will find videos that I created months ago that is still ranking inside Google. And for example, if we put in a video that I created yesterday, I don't know, like for example, Grok AI SEO, you can see my video from just 13 hours ago is ranking #1 on Google. And so YouTube ranks really well organically, but it's also ranking really well with AI overviews, as you can see right here. And it's doing better than ever. So if you want to learn more about that, how to rank with all the things that work for me, feel free to book in a free SEO strategy session. Links in the comments and description. Normally, SEO consultants will charge you thousands of dollars for this. We're just doing it for free because we want to help you. But yeah, very interesting to see that. Now, also what you can see here is some highlights. So searchenginejournal.com have said that AI overviews prioritize reputable sources like YouTube, LinkedIn, and government websites, which is interesting to note because if you're creating content only on your website, I don't think that's enough right now. And I've talked about that on, for example, other AI models. For example, like if you want to rank inside AI models like Perplexity, and I'm using Perplexity because it's quite a popular search engine and no one has access to Search GPT from ChatGPT yet. But for example, if we go into Perplexity like so, we type something like Perplexity AI SEO directly into Perplexity, as you can see right here, you can see that it's not my actual website that's ranking. Right? YouTube tends to rank way better inside AI. And I think that's because it's so well known and it's such a powerful brand with so much authority and so many backlinks pointing to it that with that level of authority, it's always going to rank well within AI search engines. And so if you're not creating YouTube content yet, you are missing out. And, bear in mind that YouTube content and video content in general converts extremely well. If you want to learn more about how to implement that, feel free to book in the free SEO strategy session, which is free, by the way. And you can see, for example, we've got a bunch of sources right here. But yeah, it sources YouTube multiple times, sources LinkedIn, which correlates with what this article is talking about when it comes to Google AI overviews as well. Perplexity and Google AI overviews are two totally different things. But as you can see right here, that's what's working really well. Now, if we scroll down right here, we've got some examples. So you can see inside this study, 7.47% of searches triggered AI overviews, which I can imagine is only going to increase over time as they roll this out more. And according to the data, now this is very interesting. I would pay attention to this bit. If you pay attention to anything, just pay attention to this single bit, which is according to the data, the most frequently linked websites in AI overviews were YouTube.com, LinkedIn, and Healthline. How interesting is that, right? So YouTube and LinkedIn are the top two websites to post onto if you're trying to rank with SEO inside AI overviews, based on the facts, right? Based on the case studies. Very interesting to know right there. No one else has ever talked about that before, but I think it's something important to learn from. And this is from a case study just a couple of days ago. This is not like from yesterday. I mean, this is not from like 2 months ago or 5 months ago. You can see this was updated on August the 13th, 2024. Goal says a bit off topic, but if you started a blog tomorrow, would you publish one piece of content at a time, or would you build about 30 and index them all at once to show more authority off the bat to Google? So I would say it depends. Like brand new domain, I quite like to start off with like 30 to 50 posts, and that's always been the case. AI or not AI, whether you're creating human content or not, it's a good way to launch a website with enough content to showcase that you're a top authority. The other thing that I would say is like new domains are just ranking better than ever when it comes to SEO. What I've seen is that when I've started projects on expired domains, and I haven't got like a statistically relevant amount of data, but when I've tried expired domains, they don't seem to rank so well for me. But when I create a new domain and create content and rank it on a new domain, that tends to rank way better and way faster based on my own personal results. So interesting to see that. We've talked about AI overviews, how it's been expanding across the internet, how it's being plugged into foreign markets as well. And, there's going to be a lot of SEOs left behind, a lot of websites left behind in foreign markets simply because it's a less sophisticated market in terms of SEO, right? We all know that ranking in English is much harder than ranking in foreign markets. And so if AI overviews is rolling out to other markets, all of a sudden it's gone from like super easy one day to incredibly difficult the other day, unless you're, trying to rank with other platforms like YouTube and SEO. The final thing that I want to talk about today is the new glitch that was announced on Google right here. So here's an example. I'm going to run this through right now. You can see from Google Search Central on Twitter, they've talked about an ongoing issue with ranking in Google Search that's affecting a large number of search results. We've identified the root cause. This issue is unrelated to the ongoing core update rollout announced yesterday. We're working on a fix. And one thing I would say here is that a lot of people actually mentioned their websites got hit or their traffic was down or their GSC just dropped suddenly. And this may be because of that. Now, if we open up the glitch details, you can see it right here. And they basically said there's an ongoing issue with ranking in Google search that's affecting a large number of search results. We've identified the root cause, but there's not really much information apart from that. So that's just something as well, just to bear in mind. It's like your traffic may be down, not just because of the core update, but also because of the glitch inside Google, as we can see right here. The Kent and Sussex Tea and Coffee Company says, I have an e-commerce site on the same domain for 20 years. Yesterday, I launched a new site. It's a sandbox and still a thing. All URLs are the same. Yeah, I mean, if you just launched a brand new site like a couple of days ago, obviously it's not going to rank like today or tomorrow. It's not going to rank that quickly. I mean, I know new domains work well, but they don't work that quickly. But yeah, I mean, I would give yourself 60, 90 days, something like that. And then you'll see yourself come out the sandbox, I reckon. As an example of that, I'm going to show this case study that I can almost guarantee will get de-indexed just for being a public case study, because I talk about it so much and it's so much in the limelight, is this example right here. Let me share my screen. I'll show you what I mean. So this is an example site that's popping off right now. We created it back in March the 5th, and now you can see the traffic is flying straight off the bat, right? So brand new domain. I bought this after March the 5th, as you can see, and we got it to domain rating 48. And you can see the traffic has just zoomed up over the last couple of months, right? So we bought it in March, and to give you an idea of the sandbox period, you can see right now we're coming way out of the sandbox period, right? The traffic is going up nicely and it's a steeper incline. So the first couple of months is going to be quiet, right? March, April, when we first bought the domain and created the content on it, super quiet. But now the traffic is going up nicely. So that's the sort of, expectations that I would have if I was running a new domain. So thanks very much. We've talked about everything today. For example, we've talked about the core update that's literally making SEOs freak out. And I've shown you examples of SEOs tweets. We've talked about Grok 2 AI, a new AI tool that's outperforming ChatGPT and Claude in many ways. AK, number one, it has less guardrails, so you can create content in different ways you wouldn't normally be able to. And then number two, it can now generate images, which Claude cannot do. And I would say the images inside Grok are way better than the images inside ChatGPT if you gave me a choice between them. And I've tested that, as I've shown you, with the 10%, well, the 8% click-through rate that we got. I've also talked about the Department of Justice situation and the whole monopoly situation. I've also talked about the massive updates on Google's expanded AI overviews, which will totally change SEO. And I've already explained why that is and how that is. And finally, we've talked about a mysterious Google search glitch that was announced just a few hours ago and is getting fixed right now. So Goal says, do you think your website ranks so quickly because of your EEAT? Absolutely. I think that's a massive, massive factor, right? So just publishing across multiple platforms and having active social media is not just required these days, but it's also going to help your SEO. Now, if you want to learn more details about that, I've got videos about every single platform you can imagine I post on inside my free SEO course. Links in the comments description if you want to get free access to that. Neil says, thanks for your gold updates. Happy to help, mate. Thanks for joining, Niels. And Personal Finance and Investing says, really informative session. Happy to help. Thank you very much. If you enjoyed it, just smash a like on it just so that we can help and reach more people. I've answered every single question inside the live stream today. And if you do have any other questions, post them quickly before I go. The final thing that I'm going to end on is that if you want to get a free one-to-one SEO strategy session, like I say, most SEO consultants will charge you $1,000 or $2,000 a pop for this. We're giving it for free. You can book it instantly at juliangoldie.co.uk or just get the link from the comments in the description. And on that call, we'll show you how we take websites from 0 to 145,000 visitors a month and generate thousands of dollars in sales and autopilot without Facebook ads, for example. And you can see how this free link building acceleration session will grow your business. For example, you're going to get a free SEO domination plan, right? You would pay top dollar for that normally. You're going to discover the secrets of link building that 99% of other people don't know. How do I know that? Because 99% of websites struggle with link building. You'll get your questions answered, right? So any questions you have, you can ask them directly on the call. You can also learn the best link building strategies for your website, how to outrank your competitors, and how to increase your SEO traffic based on multiple case studies that I've shown you ranking for me today. Let's keep going through. So Cool Facts Hub says, off topic, but agility writer or auto blogging. I have an affiliate marketing website in the sauna niche. I would go with auto blogging personally, simply because it's got me the best results so far and it's so incredibly easy to use. And Goal says, thank you so much once again. Happy to help as always, my friends. And like I said, we ride around the track together. I'll be back with more updates, and it's a pleasure to share everything with you. And thanks so much for joining today. See you on the next